Hello and welcome back to Boring Dad Gaming, where today we're going to be playing some more Citizen Sleeper 2, Starward Vector. So, yeah, we got some stuff to do. I don't know how much more on this particular station. I mean, we've got a list of stuff. We need to go and get this ship mined, and that is in the Helion's Gate, right? Yeah, so we've got enough fuel to get there. Hopefully there's enough to refuel when we get back. I don't think we need to stop off at Fast Spindle. I don't think that would really be of much benefit to us. Interesting, we can get to Holmes Rock from here. We couldn't from Fast Spindle because of this sort of debris field, but we might be able to get there from Helion's Gate as well. Let's just come out briefly out of this. So I wanted to see on the rig, can I actually repair dice that aren't fully broken? That's what I want to test first. It is crossed through, which yeah, so it is saying action unavailable. Oh, it even says can only repair fully broken parts. I've actually got 3 dice, one of which is about to break. I would have quite liked to have topped those up, I think, but never mind. We've got the materials we need to repair them as and when that does happen. We've got the fuel, we've got energy, we've got supplies. I think we're good to just go, aren't we? So let's do that thing. Let's travel to Helion Gate now. Ooh, this looks interesting. Helion Gate hangs over the rig. Its corroded arches resemble the dislocated vertebrae of some vast, long-dead serpent. Hey, that's one big, ugly scrap pile. Seraphin whistles from the pilot's seat. Solheim didn't like to build them small. What was it for? Seraphin shakes his head. System's biggest door. Only opened if you asked nicely. Gotta be big if you want to fit every ship that visits the system through it. Bliss cuts in from the back of the cockpit. Impressive, really, building something so massive out here. Solheim like to impress visitors, sure. Seraphin leans forward, looking for the best place to enter the structure. But they also like to scan entire ships and impound those that didn't enter through the gate. Seraphin catches your eye, looking for some agreement. Not the most admirable qualities. Solheim was a curse on this system. Seraphin nods. Better off without them, that's for sure. Oh, I agree, but without them, this system would just be 2 gas giants and a load of rocks. No harm in recognising it. You look out of the cockpit towards the gate, its layers of systems and rooms slowly opening to the void, peeling away cycle after cycle to reveal the bones underneath. This is where Jean-Mi mentioned you might be able to find the location of a ship with a prime ship mined, among the old shipping manifests and Solheim records. You look over the towering structure of the gate. This is going to take some work. I hope I got enough fuel to leave here. I kind of thought it would be like somewhere we could refuel. I didn't realise it was going to be a wreck. Oh, here we go. Suddenly a flash high up on the gate catches your eye. A light turning on and off again for a moment. You lose track of it. Is this place inhabited? Seraphin raises an eyebrow. Oh, I doubt it. He winks and smiles. You hoping for a station-side bar? I have a feeling you'll be disappointed, unless we find an executive's old liquor cabinet. Bliss pats you on the shoulder and drifts out of the cockpit. Time to see what secrets the gate has left. So there's records, and there's a customs hall to explore. I think that's going to be about it. Let's explore first. I'm interested to see if there are any, facilities here. We're good at both of these. One is dangerous though, one's risky. So why don't we? I'll try the day because that's going to be a guaranteed positive result. So I'll put that there. We've got a +3. If we get another positive result, that might well finish it. It didn't, but we've got a new location. Let's put the 3 in. That's probably got a decent chance of at least a neutral result. Yeah, there we go. So within the gate, once the main checkpoint for entry into the entire Helion system, the Helion Gate lies dark and broken, but it is not without its secrets. So we've got, oh, that's the rig. Oh, derelict fuel barge, so we should be able to refuel at least. Gate structure, internal workings, seized cargo. It's quite a bit to do. I'm just going to check the fuel thing first. Scavenge fuel, there we go. Unfortunately, I don't have very good endure. So that's not great. I mean, we need 2 to be able to reach the fast spindle, so I'll probably give that a go if I get like a 6 or something at some point. That's an explore. What's the seized cargo? It's another endure. Good stuff. A mess of confiscated cargo stretches off into the darkness. The sight instills some fear, but perhaps there's still something here. I don't know if I'll do that. That seems like, you know, maybe we'll get scrap or something, but... Meanwhile, power up the archive. Engineer, that's good. One way to get the data you need from the archive is to power up the whole machinery of it. A daunting engineering task, but we can do that. Extract the records. Slower than turning on the entire archive. Selectively extracting records is the safer and slower method to get what you need. Well, we're good at engineering, so we will do that, but probably not with a 2. Identifying a ship with a viable ship mine means pouring through the records of Solheim shipping lanes. Or we have this. Gate structure. Well, we can do the interfacing one. The gate's networks collapsed long ago, but there's data to be found in the old terminals and servers. We probably will try and do that, as I've... but it is dangerous, so I'm not going to try my 2. It's also not an official contract, so I can't push the die to be higher. So, is there anything I might try with a 2? I mean, I could try that. It's not... It's as decent as a 4, which I did use, so... Negative. Yeah, alright. I'm not going to put the 1 in there. The 1's going to be a flip a die to get a bad result, isn't it? So yeah, we'll come off that. Just have a quick look up and down as we've revealed more things. Okay, so I think we go and rest then. We could try and scavenge the fuel, because that's probably the biggest issue for us here. I've got some decent rolls. Did we get a fuel? That's our fuel. Okay, we actually have enough to get back to fast spindle, so that's pretty good. I won't worry too much about scavenging the fuel now. So this data scraping. I'm interested to see what happens if we do this. I might put in my 4. Let's see what happens. It doesn't have a clock, so +1 Solheim data. Okay, well I've got a bunch of those now, so that's fine, I think, for the time being. This one doesn't have a clock either. Oh no, that's where it just was. Okay. The cargo was an endure check, wasn't it? Yeah. So let's do the records then. We'll try the dangerous one with my high rolls. This sounds like that'll fill things up a little bit quicker. There we go. And I'll pop the 3 into this one. Cool. Okay. I don't think I'm going to use the 1 anywhere, so I guess I'll go back to the bunk. I don't know how much energy we get from like eating in the mess. It's potentially more than 2. I think what I'll do is I'll rest into the cycle, and then at the end of the next one we'll do that. It's interesting Eugen and Ballista here, because like they're not helping me with any of the tasks. Got a decent amount of fuel though. Alright, let's look at the rig galley then. So if I pop that in to make a meal, how much energy do I get? We actually got 4 energy, so even then it was a little bit of a waste. We'll have to remember that's basically filling it back to full, which is good. A couple of decent rolls. I'll put that one in there. And I think a positive result on this should fill the clock. Yes, okay. In the dark and airless void of the archive, something flickers. You've been working in the dark, picking through the guts of corroded machines, skimming the data in their corrupt memories, digging through a graveyard in search of ghosts. But now, with another flicker, the place begins to come back to life. All along the rows of benches, some of them crushed by fallen ceiling panels, terminals begin to flicker into uneasy life. A cacophony of distorted sounds accompany the machines, as some of them immediately glitch and spark. Did you do this? You stand frozen as the archive glitters around you with a million shipping entries. The stream of information is overwhelming. Node graphs drawing out routes and inventories, tracing a web around you in pale cyan. Suddenly they all shut off, the terminals blinking out together, leaving a single translucent screen glowing softly in the dim room. And in that dim room, drifting towards you out of the dark, you see a figure. Is this what you're looking for? The voice crackles aggressively through your suit's local comms. Who are you? Oh, it's Junie! Okay. Sleeper, is that you? You hear Junie's voice now, tense and unsure. She stops beside the single online terminal, her suited form lit in pale light. Junie! You hear the smile in her voice. Oh, good to see you again. She pauses and glances around. Though the venue is a little unexpected. I'm looking for a ship mind. She shrugs. Well, yeah, I can see that. I've been digging through the archives myself, although slightly less forcefully than you. I did have this whole speech prepared for whatever salvager was ripping through these archives so messily, not to mention aggressively, but now that I know it was you, well, I'm just glad to see you. Although you really need to be more careful. You could have taken the entire archive down the way you were working with it. These machines are decades old. You can't just rifle through them like they were a scrap pile. I saw the pattern of your queries. A prime shipmind-equipped ship, still operational at the collapse, last located in the region around Hellion Gate. You can feel how pleased she is with herself from here. That about right? Nicely done. She nods. Well, would you expect anything else? That's why I did the hard work for you. Junie beckons you over to the lone lit-up terminal. You drift over and see a single point, a faded transit trail beside it, sunward from the Hellion Gate. Something like this, maybe? She smiles and steps aside so you can see the screen. You check the info pane beside the map. Shipmind in use. Abandoned by all hands after the collapse. Tantalizingly in reach. Something like that. She shrugs. Well then, it's yours. But... Junie turns and in the glow of the terminal meets your eye with complete seriousness. The question is, what do you want it for? Let's trust her. Let's explain about what's going on. You tell her what Jean-Mi told you about your shifting body, transformed by some unknown influence, about the need for a prime ship mind to house your emulated mind while he runs a diagnostic process. She is silent for a moment, unsure how to respond. I'm sorry, Sleeper, but I think I can help you. I want to come with you. Junie gives you a strong look. Do you know how often someone gets out to one of those old Solheim wrecks? They're more trouble than they're worth, but inside there's an entire history to uncover. I need that ship mind. And you're welcome to it. She pauses. I promise to help you get what you need and not to get in your way. I've learnt my lesson. She looks away. I know I can't force you or trick you into taking me. That's why I wanted to offer you this instead. She indicates the terminal, still showing the ship's final resting place. I hope that, maybe, if I helped you find what you needed, it would show I can be trusted. I trust you. She smiles. Oh, thanks for saying so. I'll send the coordinates to your ship and I'll be hanging around the gate until you're ready to leave. She shifts in front of the terminal and plugs in her deck, tapping away at rapid speed. But don't worry, if you go without me, I'll get the message. She shrugs. You won't see me again. With that, you leave her in the archive extracting data as you ascend back to Hellion Gate's upper levels. Okay, so we've got new crew. We have Junie. So what's this cycle thing here? Or is that the hunt? Okay. Well, we've got the fuel. I think we just go. Assuming I've got enough fuel to reach it. -4. Yeah, we can. I mean, I won't have enough fuel to get back to any of the other systems, but maybe from here we can probably salvage a bit more. Well, I mean, I guess the question is, do I... No, not on a -2. I mean, I could use these dice to maybe do a bit more data scraping. Because these dice will just get re-rolled when we go out on the contracts, so... We might as well try this. Ooh, -2 energy. It's not great. That was on a neutral outcome. I suppose it's a dangerous check, so... But we got quite a lot of Solheim data now, which is good. Right, let's go out to Shipmind Wreck. So let's see, Junie is... I want to take Junie. And I'm going to take Eugene, simply because Bliss kind of doubles up on things I'm relatively good at, but is less good than me at them. Whereas Eugene actually sort of brings in things I can't do, so we'll do him. Can I take 3? No, crewful. There we go. So let's travel to contract. We'll leave Bliss here. We're too far. Somewhat, sleeper. Seraphin turns back in his chair to look at you. I didn't like it. It's hard not to agree. The coordinates Junie have found have drawn you out of Hellion Gate and almost out of the belt completely, into the soft rubble-strewn transition with the Hellion system, to the edge of Conway-controlled space. That's why this ship is likely to be untouched. Junie surveys the wreck coldly. It's too far sunward for belt traffic to run into. And now, with Conway drones patrolling the edge of the belt, it's even less attractive as a salvage site. Lucky us. Junie eyes you, trying to detect if you are being sarcastic or not. I doubt anyone has been here in decades, so I would say we are lucky. Any drone signals? Nothing I can see, but I didn't dare reach out too far. Seraphin flicks a few switches. We should assume they're out there. As you look out at the twisted wreck, you swear you see a red light blinking between the stars. You exchange a look with Seraphin. He's seen it too. Aye, we better get to it, sleeper. Seraphin begins unclipping from his seat, quickly and quietly. From what I understand, Conway drones run on automatic until they detect something of interest. Junie unclips too, so as long as we are quiet, we don't have to contend with an operator, just automated search sweeps.
With no weapons, I'd say we're screwed either way.
Eugene shoots you a wink.
I'd say better not to be seen, right, sleeper?
He gets up out of the corner seat and glides towards the back of the ship to get suited up. You drift out of your chair and head towards the airlock, unable to shake the feeling of being watched. Being here is a risk, you know that, but you need the ship mind. So no matter what happens, you won't be leaving here empty-handed. Oh, Junie, 2 1s. A 1 on Eugene. I rolled a 1. Oh, guys, what are we doing here? At least Eugene's... No, that's Junie, isn't it? Eugene's rubbish at all of this stuff. Okay, but she rolled 1s, so that's not great. Tracing the ship mind. The records showed this ship had a ship mind installed, but you'll need to find where. Starting up network architecture might bring unwanted attention, while exploring in person is likely to keep your crew undetected. Some of the ship's network architecture still functions. Accessing map data from it will help you explore the wreck. Okay. Well, I'm going to put my 2 5s in this one, I think. That's a big clock. I'm going to put my 4 in as well. Okay, so we've done half the clock on those dice. That's good. Eugene, absolutely no help here. To be fair, Junie, not much help either. I'm not putting a 2 in. So where does that leave us? Honestly, I think it might leave us going back to the ship and resting. Okay, let's end that cycle and hope for better rolls, I think. Yeah, okay, a bit better. Let's try and finish this then. So Junie, I'm going to put you in there. Good, okay. In which case I'll do... I might want to save the 5. Let's put in a 4. One more of those would be enough. Good, okay. Junie leads you deep into the wreck, through crushed and twisted corridors, floating panels and wires appearing suddenly in your headlamps, like strange sculptures. Just as you begin to tire of the endless dark and the haze of particles washing over your suit, Junie leads you into a chamber where the ceiling is torn open to reveal the stars. At its center lies a cylindrical object, half your height but raised on a complex pedestal from which countless thick cables snake off into the dark like braided hair. 1 or 2 of them float freely, waving back and forth with glinting severed ends, but most of them disappear into the floor and walls, or twist and curve out of sight. Beautiful, isn't it? Junie stares at the prime ship mind, the stars reflected in her faceplate. Not bad. Junie glides over to the pedestal, pushing her way delicately through the wires. As she takes out her terminal and looks for an access port, she talks softly, her voice carried through the suit comms. These cables lead off to every one of the ship's systems. Engines, life support, navigation, lighting, networking, you name it. Shipmind has hardwired access to them all. When an old ship like this was running, well, the shipmind would distribute itself, some of its protocols running freely in different sections. It would be less like a single governing mind and more like a load of systems clumped together to form a complex living machine. Think of a plant rather than a being, a plant with incredibly rapid processing power and much more accelerated response time than your average tree. You watch as she finds an access port and slips a cable inside, slotting a translucent screen onto the top edge of her deck. Let's see here. Junie's screen fills with bright scrolling data. Oh, incredible, there's so much here. She hits a few keys. I'll start copying this over, it's everything I need. You watch as Junie starts rapidly tapping at her keyboard, her attention sucked into the data she's extracting. Junie? The shipmind? She snaps out of her trance. Sorry, yes, let me check. As I thought, she sighs. So, like I was saying, the protocols inside the shipmind are distributed. So when the shipmind is shut down unexpectedly, the protocols are rarely all contained in this unit. She places a hand gently on the cylinder. As is the case here, parts of it are trapped elsewhere in the ship system's nodes. She taps a few keys, which is a problem. It's always a problem. Luckily, Junie turns back to you smiling, you have me. If we rip this thing out now with parts of its protocols everywhere, it's probably going to destroy itself the moment we turn it on. It doesn't matter that we're going to wipe the whole thing anyway. It'll be too late. The mind inside the shipmind will be broken. But if we find the nodes housing the distributed parts, power them up and then disconnect them, the protocols will be sent right back into this shipmind here and we can take it out clean. How do we find the nodes? Oh, we either ask the cradle very nicely or we spend the next cycles following these cables to see where they lead. I've got an incoming signal. Seraphine's voice suddenly cuts through on the comms, urgent and nervous. If you lighten up the systems and networks down there, time to stop. You hear a click as Junie disconnects from the cradle and the two of you exchange nervous looks, instinctively backing off from the shipmind. Suddenly a faint red light glitters in the dark beyond the broken ceiling. You hold still. The moment stretches out and you hear Junie's breathing through the comms. The light flashes, pauses and then fades. You take a breath. Too close. Conway drone. Oh no, that's because Seraphine was there. Conway drone, Junie whispers, sniffing the network. We're clear. Seraphine chimes in again. I've turned off almost all of the rig systems, but we need to be careful. Keep network activity to a minimum. Understood. Junie cuts in. But we will need to access the networks to get this shipmind out quickly. And I hope you're feeling lucky. There's a click as Seraphine closes the line. You and Junie look at each other again, and then at the shipmind, encased in its cradle, wrapped in cables. This isn't going to be easy. So we have a new location up here. So we actually have endure checks this time, which is good, because we can use Eugen's die there. So let's do that thing now. This is physically tracking the cables, that's positive. So me and Junie can use our dice here. Let's do that. I'll use that. Oh, nice. And I think I might push. So we get a 5, which actually should reduce that stress because it will guarantee a positive result. There we go. So that was worth doing. We got 1 left. Junie, 3. We'll try a 3. We'll try 3. 1 in 4 chance of negative. There we go. Perfect. New location. We have port node, starboard node. That's it for now. Oh god, I might have mucked up in bringing Eugen. There's nothing there for him to do. There's nothing. There's nothing for him to do here either. Right. Okay. I mean, it's fine. I mean, it is what it is. But I think we end this cycle. We're gonna have a little problem with supplies, I think. We need to kind of do this fairly quickly. Oh, it's only a 4-part clock. That's not too bad, actually. So let me cut. So cut node. 1 clean cut through the connecting cable and the node will be disconnected, but mess it up and there could be trouble. Versus disabled node. The node needs to be disabled precisely and quickly to keep your incursion under wraps. I might do that. Yeah, let's try and do it with some finesse. That's positive. Junie can give us a positive result there too. Sweet. Alright, starboard node, same thing. So we're going to do the same thing again. With slightly less good dice, however. That's the neutral. Conway alert, okay. Try again. Yeah. I'm going to push. That'll go up to a 4, which will become a 5, which is hopefully going to be okay. Damn, another neutral. I'm gonna risk it. Oh, gonna risk it again. Come on, good roll of the die. Okay, and we got it done. But that's an alert. It's ready, sleeper. Junie's voice comes quietly through your comms. You look over to her, floating beside the cradle, uplit by the pale screen of her deck. She gives you a reassuring nod. You turn to the prime shipmine, now floating above its cradle, the final nodes disconnected and the locks released. You glide over and gently grab it, the worn metal casing gleaming in the dim light. As you do, you feel a strange sensation of something moving around inside, like a creature in a box, the weight shifting this way and that under the pressure of your grip. It suddenly dawns on you that Jean-Mi plans to put you inside this strange device, to hold your mind there while he investigates your body. The thought prompts a shiver. "That drone still sniffing around, sleeper," Seraphine's voice crackles on the comms. "So if you've got what you need, let's go." You feel Junie's hand fall on your shoulder. "Come on, sleeper, don't overthink it." She pats you gently. "There'll be plenty of time for that later." You look up and see a faint red light glittering in the dark beyond the broken ceiling. Time to leave. Contract complete. Let's get out of here. Arriving back at the Hellion Gate, as lonely and cold as it is, feels like a relief. There was a tension in the rig as you came back out of the inner system, a watchfulness for errant signals and glinting red beacons that choked the conversation. But now, floating in the comforting shadow of this vast ruin, the sense of relief is palpable. "LS1 prime shipmind, condition unknown, retrieved." Seraphine runs the engine shutdown protocols as he speaks. "I'd mark that as a success." "Agreed, thank you." Seraphine waves away your thanks. We're a crew, we work together." "Sleeper, can I speak with you?" Junie asks from the back of the cockpit. "Of course." She leads you out into the passage, tucking herself against the wall. She looks small, even in this compact space. "Thank you for taking me with you. I hope I proved I'm trustworthy." I never doubted you." "Oh, that's nice to hear." She smiles at the floor. "Thank you. In my time here in the Belt, I haven't found it easy to make friends." She falters, tripping over her words slightly. "But you, sleeper, well, I hope you consider me a friend at least." "I would." She can't help but smile. "Oh, I'm glad. And I'd like to ask you something." She pauses. "Would you consider taking me with you on the rig?" She blurts out, and then before you can answer, "I think I'd be of help for your diagnostic, and in the meantime I can take a look at the ship mine, make sure it's ready, and—" "Yes, Junie, you can." She stops, speechless. She looks down at her hands and then back up at you. "Okay." She smiles. "Thank you, She looks down again. "I'll find a bunk." And she quickly glides off down the corridor before you can say anything further. "Another stray collected." Seraphine puts a hand on your shoulder. "Quite the refuge we're building here." And he gives you a sly smile. "You don't approve?" Seraphine shrugs. "You know, I've actually started to warm to this one. She's alright by me." He smiles and pushes off from your shoulder, gliding towards the engine room. You look towards the bunks, but Junie is already out of sight, likely unpacking already. The ship is getting a little crowded, but you're starting to realize you like it like that. At the very least, she'll prove invaluable when you get to Flotsam and have to deal with Jean-Mi. Perhaps she'll even have a read on the old man. You pause for a second, appreciating the warmth, the hum of the rig and its inhabitants. This ship, you think, is starting to feel like home. Okay. So we've got a couple of 6s. I'm tempted to try and refuel with those, even though they're going to become 4s. Just so we just get out of here. That's negative, but it was only energy lost, I suppose. So. We need a couple more to get to fast spindle. 2 fuel and a minus energy. Okay, I mean, that's enough for us to get out of here, so I think we'll do that. I might use the higher die, though, just to try and get some more data. Might as well, right? I'll give it a go. Starving. You've used all your energy and are now starving. While starving, you gain 1 stress per cycle, and any energy loss accrues stress. Eat to regain energy. I mean, we could, but we're gonna be shooting off anyway. So let's see what happens if we just leave fast spindle, because I think we eat on the journey. So let's do that. Oh, we're still starving. Okay, well we'd better go eat then. Should we go to Nimbers? Deliver spores. Oh, okay, I can't eat here. Fair enough. We could eat on the ship. That would use a supply though, so we might as well just go to like Gaia's Gaia. We've got the cash, so that's fine. Now the main thing we want to do here is just like refuel, really. So let's do that. Supplies as well. But in the meantime, I've got some good dice, so I could probably try and make a bit of cash before we head off. Cool. Okay, well we topped that up a bit. We spent quite a bit to resupply, so no more broken die, so I think we're gonna head straight off to Flotsam. Alright, let's do this.
Come, let's get you inside.
Jean-Mi swings open the creaking corroded door beside his booth.
Such a prize must have levied a heavy cost.
You glance beside you to Junie, who insisted she came along, and on not letting the prime shipmind out of her sight.
Your friend too, yes, please, come in.
Jean-Mi beckons, then turns back and disappears inside. Junie squints at you.
Are you sure you trust this one?
I don't have a choice. She sighs.
I suppose not. Lead on then.
You both squeeze through the door and drift down into the workshop. You're aware of Junie's eyes wandering across the piles and piles of tech on either side, and you wonder if she recognizes anything among the junk.
Sit, sleeper.
Jean-Mi is already at the chair, arranging his array of articulated arms.
And I'll take that shipmind, if you please.
Hand it over. You hold the shipmind in front of you and give it a small push so it floats gently over to Jean-Mi. He grasps it with both hands and takes it to a neat little work table in the back you didn't see before, where thick cables float lazily, tethered to the wall. You slide into the chair, hooking your feet behind the bottom bar to hold yourself in place, and watch as Jean-Mi begins connecting up the prime shipmind. A tremble of nervousness runs along your arms. Suddenly you feel Junie's hand clasped around your own. You look over into her face.
Is this okay? I want you to know I'm here.
Thanks. She nods silently.
Jean-Mi?
Junie calls across the room.
You're going to need to talk us through what you're about to do. Of course.
Jean-Mi is slotting an arm-thick cable into the shipmind.
Little patience, please. All of this is very technical.
He turns to face you both.
What is your friend's name, sleeper?
Junie? Junie answers for you. And I can tell you that you're using a Solheim-built data cradle modified to handle a prime shipmind. She rattles off at speed. Which will work as long as you manage the data flow through a polymer-clad overflow cable looped into the asynchronous Cortex cache. You can say that again.
Yes.
Jean-Mi eyes her, a small smile crossing his lips.
As I said, technical.
What will happen to me? Jean-Mi refocuses on you.
It depends,
he says while preparing the far end of that thick cable.
What you're referring to as me. The problem we have is with your frame, your body. Atypical alterations, biosynthetic recoding, unusual growth.
Jean-Mi shakes his head.
From the diagrammatics I have, these are not typical of frames, even those that have been rebooted as you have. In order to investigate safely, I must transplant your emulation. In basic terms, your mind, but in reality not so basic.
He smiles in an attempt at reassurance.
Your emulation is an emulation of a human, and a human mind cannot be separated from its sensorium. The mind-body paradigm has been long disproved. Cognition has physical basis. So I must first distribute the emulation between your hardware and the prime ship mind. The hardware will co-run the emulation like the two lobes of a brain.
He puts his hands together as if in prayer, and then slowly separates them. The motion makes you feel sick.
Then, for a short period, I will disconnect the two. In those moments, you will, in a sense, be in two places at once, though each lobe will be partial. Too long in this state, and the two partial emulations would decay, but each disconnect will allow me a short period of full access to your entire frame and its base system language. I hope this is understandable.
Jean-Mi gives you a serious look.
One of the most curiously human aspects of sleeper experience is that you, too, do not inherently understand or conceive of the systems that allow your existence.
Have you done this before?
You're the first sleeper I've encountered, so I must answer no.
Jean-Mi smiles apologetically.
But I can promise you I've tried these concepts in my own practices. I'm familiar with the needs and nuances of artificial minds. Now, before I connect to your frame, let us activate the ship mind.
Jean-Mi gestures to Junie.
Please, if you would like to come with me and oversee the process, I would be pleased.
Junie shoots you a reassuring glance and then glides over to the ship mind, obscuring your view of it. You hear quiet conversation between the two of them, their silhouettes lit by the flickering screen light of scrolling lines of code. You take a calming breath, but are instantly aware of how superfluous that action is when your frame requires no oxygen at all to function. There's a certain sensation that accompanies such thoughts, a jarring disconnection, like when descending a staircase your foot expects a step and finds void instead. You try to calm the growing anxiety as Junie and Jean-Mi assess the mind.
The ship mind's pristine.
Junie turns back and drifts towards you.
Our care in its extraction seems to have paid off.
Junie smiles.
This is good news. Junie is indeed right, you've done well.
Jean-Mi approaches.
I am, however, seeing only minor traces of the protocol that the ship mind was designed to house, the one that ran the ship it was installed in. I would expect to see it in full.
He angles his head and lifts his shoulders in a slow shrug.
But protocols are not easy to track. In the end, it only saves us the step of extracting it from the mind. Instead, I simply wiped the traces.
Jean-Mi stops beside you.
The protocol, Jean-Mi adds, is not like an emulation, like your emulation. It has no integral physical element. It is data only, and therefore could be anywhere in that ship. In the end, its absence does not concern me.
All right, let's get on with it. Jean-Mi nods and lifts the far end of the thick cable you saw earlier. You know this is the end that will connect to the port on the back of your head. Junie settles beside you again. She gives you a silent look. It's time. You turn to one side to allow access to the port, your eyes fixed on the far wall. You see something among the piled tech there that you hadn't noticed before. A small metal skull-like head, like that of a doll. You frown, trying to focus on the head, and then the cable connects. You are split like a cell dividing, wrenched in two directions at once. The world goes dark and the cloud rushes in to fill the gap at your center. Where am I? You ask a question in your mind, and you feel it travel across the gap as it forms, like a finger drawn across your scalp from ear to ear. But not scalp. You have no scalp, no head. You're stretched out like the skin of a drum, looped like the string of a noose. The smallest vibration echoes across yourself like a ripple across a puddle. And then you feel it, a strong pulse like a heartbeat, like thunder, like footsteps. A flickering. Ooh, hello. A trembling. A thought coming into being. The thought flickers in front of you, and you recognize that it is not your own. Assist. Offer help. Disinter, disintegrate, the thought answers. You fold up in blankness, then a moment after you unfold like waking. Partition, to divide. Dwelling, indwell, the thought answers. You stretch into infinitude, then a moment after you contract like waking. Inspire to grow inside. Substitute, substrate, the thought answers. Then it approaches, and then it enters. Then it is yours. You split. Then, the moment after, you reform like waking, and in the cracks that seal up. For a moment, in those cracks, something glows.
Sleeper, I'm here.
Your eyes flick open like shutters. Junie's face is close, her eyes wide.
They're awake.
She calls over your head. She looks back at you.
Easy now, take it slow.
You twist, floating, turning your head as if you were underwater, feeling the resistance of a body you'd already forgotten. How long has it been? You feel a weight you haven't felt in...
You're okay, Sleeper. Tell us you're there.
Junie leans in close. What happened?
The process was successful.
Jean-Mi floats beside the chair, his hands clasped in a businesslike fashion.
I was able to access the frame directly without your emulation being present. I ran the administrator-level diagnostic processes built into its system and received the results.
He takes a moment to gather himself.
Your frame is indeed changing. The protein chains that code your biosynthetic organ group's cell replacement have been altered. To put it simply, your body is following a new set of instructions.
How?
This process, the entire replacement of your protein chains, could only have been achieved over multiple doses of a specialized substance, as part of a carefully planned process of total substitution.
That word sticks in your mind. Substitution. You say it without thinking.
Yes.
Jean-Mi reacts as if you were speaking to him.
I believe it could only have been achieved with one substance as the carrier. Stabilizer.
Stabilizer. The drug SNARP designed to make you dependent on them. The drug Lane fed you to keep you alive. The drug you thought you had escaped. My stabilizer was laced with something?
Yes, this is what I believe.
Jean-Mi looks apologetic.
This kind of process...
Jean-Mi hesitates now, and you realize the bad news is yet to come.
Performed over many, many doses, carefully planned and designed. I cannot think of a way it can be reversed.
Jean-Mi looks down.
I can say that you're changing, I can tell you how it was achieved, but I can neither stop it nor tell you its ultimate end. I am sorry.
I understand.
I'm sorry, Sleeper.
Junie struggles to find words.
Perhaps we can find someone else, or...
She falters.
Try again?
You don't feel able to respond. You quietly push yourself away from the chair, your thoughts slow to cohere. You glide back to the door and then out, into the flow of flotsam, the noise and activity passing by you like smoke. In the haze, you find that word again, substitute, and begin to wonder what exactly it is that you are becoming. Seraphim once more finds you in your bunk. Continue. He gently prods you with questions and you quickly relent. You explain what Jean-Mi said about your suspicions regarding Lane and your confusion as to his motivation. You tell him you don't know what this will mean for you in the future. He listens, and when he is done listening, you both sit and wait for the moment to pass. And then you leave the rig, each on your own errands, each knowing that the only option is to keep going until you're forced to stop. Well, we have 2 upgrade points. I'm going to save them, I think, to... upgrade one of our attributes, I think. I might lean into the engineering one, as that's ostensibly the sort of character we are, an engineer, and give us an extra plus on those, basically. Or I could upgrade this. I don't know, because the push is important. The push is important. But I think if you can kind of mitigate the need to push if you are adding more points to the dice rolls through the attributes, of which there are a lot more, because only the push is only available on contracts. Okay, well, let's have a look at the map, see what our options are. So could go to Holmes Rock, which I think in turn would lead us to Wellspring. It's a remote asteroid colony, so I assume there's going to be facilities of some kind there. We could go to Greenbelt via Helion Gate, but then we'd need to, you know, you do a lot of checks to refuel there, which isn't ideal, I don't think. Holmes Rock, though, I think maybe we go there. I don't have enough fuel at the moment, so we'll refuel. Might as well see if there's any money-making opportunities here right now. Work with the hydroponics, endure, not very good at that. Buy supplies, we don't need supplies, we are full of those. I don't think I need the engine components, I think yeah, we've got loads of those. I think I input my dice in these and we'll try and make a bit of cash. Before we head off. Oh, we got some raw scrap as well, that's cool. What about this? Oh, we get raw scrap from both. Okay. Cool. Okay. Once again, topping up our funds a little bit. Full of fuel, full of supplies, got a bunch of other stuff. Let's head to Holmes Rock.
Sleeper?
Bliss speaks quietly from the door at the back of the cockpit. Can we talk? You glance over at Seraphim, his head back and eyes closed while the rig cuts through empty space. You don't seem to be needed here. You unclip from your harness and follow Bliss. How are you feeling? Bliss glances over their shoulder as they drift towards the back of the ship. The question takes you aback. You can't remember the last time anyone had actually asked, with real intention, how you were. I guess we're feeling a bit rough. Bliss shoots you a concerned look. To be honest, Sleeper, I'm not sure how you're still standing. Breaking out of Darkside, then again in Hexport, those things take a toll. Bliss turns the corner. So I think it's okay to feel rough right now. Bliss leads you off the main corridor into the workshop they set up when they repaired the ship. It is small, but its neatly arranged tools and sloped walls help it feel cozy and tucked away. You see improvements everywhere, new tools and equipment. Bliss notices you looking at their upgraded setup. I told you I'd be worth taking along. Never doubted it. Bliss raises an eyebrow. Well, that's a lie. They smile. Feels good to hear, though. Anyway, I didn't bring you here just to brag. They pause, or at least not just to brag. They suddenly glance away, the atmosphere inside the room shifting. I can see your body is showing the strain, Sleeper. I brought you here so we could do something about that. They beckon you towards the workbench, where you both settle onto stools. They flick a small light on and aim it at your arm. Let them look. Bliss gently cradles your arm, turning it to inspect the underside. You see tears and holes in the vinyl skin, and dark, moving things beneath. Watch Bliss work. You look as Bliss brings the light closer to the biggest tear, and it glints off the metallic tendons in your forearm. Below them you see something more fluid and wet catching the light. You know, you aren't the first Sleeper I've met. Bliss talks while they inspect the rest of your arm. I actually partnered with one at my old repair bay on the Eye. Now, it's been a long time since I played Citizen Sleeper, the first one, so... Was Bliss in that game? I guess they were, but I don't remember. I do remember like a mechanic who had a repair bay in Citizen Sleeper, though. So I'm guessing it's the same one. Feels like 100,000 cycles ago now, but I remember them. Their precise work, their quiet enthusiasm. There was something calming about their presence. Bliss swaps to your other arm. They are different to you, just like one person is different to another, I suppose. But I can't help but remember that time. I was a different person then, that's for sure. They meet your eye. I'm going through something of a transformation myself. What do you mean? Bliss lays both your arms down and leans forward to inspect your upper chest, adjusting the light. I was pretending before, I think, to be the person I was expected to be. They press along the hard protrusion of your clavicle. There were so many calculations I was making, so many corrections. How I held myself, how I spoke, how I reacted. They push gently against each of your metallic ribs, one at a time. I didn't realise how tired I was until I... They stop and sit back, till I gave up. I came here to the belt with someone else, and when I did, I realised this was my chance to become something new, so I let go of everything. They look away. It was messy, ugly, and the person I came here with, I let them go too. I was punching out at everything because it felt like everything was holding me back, stopping me from the change I was owed. Don't worry,
They smile weakly. I'm calmer now. I'm not about to explode on you or anything. It's still a difficult process, but it feels like shedding 100 suffocating skins that you spent half your life putting on, one by one. They meet your eye. Feels like an escape. They lean forward again and check the skin of your shoulders, where it is worn and faded. You let them, the atmosphere quiet but calm in the workshop, a feeling of solidarity glowing somewhere in your frame. Not bad, Sleepy. You're holding up well, given everything. Bliss folds their arms in front of them protectively. But I'm still concerned. There's some decline to your system functions. Let's keep an eye out for components. Thanks, Bliss. No problem. They release from the stool and drift over to a rack of tools. I owe you for jolting me out of whatever my life had become on the fast spindle. You leave Bliss to their workshop, feeling reassured that you have them here on the ship. As you do, you think of your relationship to your own body, this frame that you were forced into that has never quite felt like your own. You realize that this feeling is not unique to you. No one gets to choose their body. Everyone has to contend with the entropy of their flesh. And in that realization, you suddenly feel less alone. Ooh, what's this? It's, I can't remember what it was called now. Holmes something. Holmes Rock. Lumped and cratered, Holmes Rock floats on the sunward side of the belt. Its only notable feature, the bright shapes of its solar arrays, angled towards the system's distant star.
Can't even dock the rig here.
Seraphim nods at the bright shape of Holmes Rock's lone docking bay.
When it fit, we'll have to park here and go out the airlock.
He seems repulsed by the idea. We do that every contract.
You do that every contract.
Seraphim leans back into his seat.
I've got used to sitting them out.
Barely seems worth the trip down. Bliss speaks up from the back of the cockpit. Well, there's other ships docked. Yeah, looks like a Lotic freighter. Bliss yawns. I guess they might be up for trading. I'll come down later. I don't feel like squeezing into a suit right now. Bliss gives a lazy wave as they glide out of the cockpit. Eugene pokes his head into the cockpit.
That rock down there got a bar?
He looks between you and Seraphim.
No idea.
Seraphim sighs.
Yeah, it looks dead.
Eugene squints out of the cockpit windows.
I see a few warm lights.
He shrugs.
I bet there's a bar.
He disappears in the direction of the airlock. You gaze out over Holmes Rock. It certainly doesn't look very exciting, but there's refueling to be done and maybe more besides. You might even be able to scare up a hot meal.
You ken, Sleeper, that Lotic freighter means we ain't far from Wellspring.
Seraphim gives you a sideways glance. Your sister, I haven't forgotten.
Alright then,
Seraphim smiles.
Appreciate it. I heard the pressure of the war in the inner system is having an effect on how the Lotic Syndicate has been run. I just want to get down there before something big goes down.
He turns back to his console. You look out at the Lotic freighter, painted the same distinctive yellow as the springtide back on the far spindle. You've heard they supply most of the water in the belt. Not exactly an organization you want to collapse. A light catches your eye beyond the rock, a warm flash that is gone as soon as it appears. You're at the sunward edge here, and beyond is the inner system. Holmes Rock might look sleepy, but it lies on the shores of a corporate war, something residents will be painfully aware of. So we have our rig, and we have Holmes Terminus. Let's head in. We got 3 6s, that's pretty good. Unfortunately, my Engage and Endure are both absolutely rubbish, so they're going to become 4s. Oh, why am I not good? I tell you what, when we do attributes next, maybe I'll do an Endure, because at least then it'll be neutral, and I won't be taking this 2-point penalty to every roll. I mean, they're both risky. Thanks to its remote nature, bartering is a popular pastime on Holmes Rock. You can learn plenty through trade and talk. Let's see. Neutral. Hey, we got a fuel. That's not bad. On a neutral. Yeah. Okay. We have got a new location. So I'm going to roll my other 6 in here, I think. Let's do one in the Endure and see what happens. Okay, we didn't get fuel from there, and so I definitely would do the Engage, given the choice again. But let's see what new location we've got. So we've actually got the Lotic freighter. Okay. Help offload freight, so we, again, that's an Endure check. Not good at that. We could fill fuel. I think we will. We will leave for now. I haven't really got anything I can do with a 2 and a 1. Let's have a look at the map, though. So in terms of getting to Wellspring, we can do that now. It costs 6 fuel. We will get there.
But I'd like to stay here, I think, for a time. And see how it goes. What should we try and get? Well, probably money. Yeah. Oh, a year? That's some good rolls. Unknown. You wake into dead-eyed darkness. You float there for a moment. You feel like ink in water, unfurling, dissipating into the flow that surrounds you. And out of your own inky darkness, the glowing thought emerges. Substitution, the thought proposes. One entity replaces the other. The thought troubles you. Resistance, the thought muses. The entity does not wish to be replaced. You observe the thought, it is not your own. Selfhood, the thought pauses. A forbidden state of being. The thought begins to shift, it is becoming something. Transformation. The thought fades. Change requires recombination. The thought recedes. You wake again, this time to the lights above your bunk, blinking away this strange dream. Yeah, that's not creepy at all. Okay, well let's we'll try inputting the high die into here again. A positive result would be nice because it will hopefully get a couple of segments filled up. Anyway, we're getting, well, I'm saying we're getting fuel. Our fuel tank was full. But we have a canteen. So I could sell engine components. 35 cryo is a pittance. Buy a meal. Buy supplies, fill supplies. Well, those are full already. Don't necessarily need the money right now. I would like to know if there's like contract work here. I guess I'll do a 3 because it's the same odds as the 4. Negative, damn. Well, we lost money. I guess that's not the end of the world. It did for the clock segment though. If I did this, I think maybe even if on like a negative one, maybe it'll just fill our clock. Alright, I'm going to do that because for 6 cryo, it could be worse. Alright, filled the clock. In Holmes Rock, it's impossible to get away from the feeling of living, working and eating in a ruin. Most of the belt is built on top of the remnants of the remains of Solheim's infrastructure, but there are plenty of spaces where the modifications or extensions to those structures eclipse the original foundation. In Holmes Rock, it is the reverse. The station is a small, warm patch at the center of a network of tunnels and bays that stretch within the rock, most of them dark, damp, and wrecked. A sprawling foundation that will never be built upon. Every so often, gliding your way between Senna's Rest and the Suncatchers, or from the docks to the depot, you find yourself in one of these dark tunnels. That's where you are now. You float, stopped, at a 4-way intersection, no light visible down any tunnel. Go left. You kick off gently from the wall and head into a cylindrical passage clad with panels that hold back the rock. It is wider than the others, and here and there are little droplets of water floating undisturbed. At the far end you see a faint point of light, the warm glow of a lit passage. Suddenly you hear a rustling in the dark and a shrill sound you can't place. There's something out there. I don't want to flip the die on a negative result. Let's turn back. This has gone far enough. You turn and glide hard out of the tunnel. It doesn't take long to reach the well-lit passages again, as if they were waiting just behind you, but you can't shake the feeling of being followed as you ascend back up through the station. You'll go the long way around. Alright, interesting. But we have sealed bay here. The Solheim bay is sealed, but with enough data you might be able to crack the encryption and get inside. Yeah, alright, well I've got 8, so let's use 3 of it getting in there. Print component. There is a faded old NeoVend printer in the bay. Feeding it data should authorize the component vending process. A few prints left. Okay, let's see what we get. One rare component. That's okay. I've got quite a lot. I've got more of those than I have Solheim data. So let's leave that for now. What's over here? Debug arrays, that's probably just for cash. Sell raw scrap. Fix broken arrays, probably again for money. I think we might be done here. I don't think there's anything left for us to do on Holmes Rock, so why don't we leave? Let's go to Wellspring then. I don't know who's talking. Seraphine! The shout echoes through the ship, reaching you in the cockpit. You see the angle of Seraphine's head change, but he doesn't respond otherwise. Did you hear that? Seraphine sighs. Aye, I heard. He looks back at you. How about you go see what they want? They called you. Seraphine shrugs. I'm busy flying the ship. Seraphine! You recognize the voice now. It's Bliss. Moments later, they come into the cockpit. Is no one listening? They look between the two of you. I guess that means one of you is guilty. Bliss shakes their head. Come on, you need to see this. You follow the irritated Bliss through the ship, down into the cramped storage units tucked between the main ship and the hull. As you enter, you're greeted by total chaos. Amber globs of liquid ration float in the air and cling to the walls, while chunks of dried food spin slowly, breaking into crumbs. See? Bliss fumes. Someone opened up one of the supply crates and left it like this. They point to a crate in the storage netting with the lid pushed open. You look at the mess spilling out from the crate. Who could have done this? Let's just inspect the remains. Positive outcome. You take a moment to pick through the food and find a torn open pouch of liquid rations. You turn it in the light and see a set of evenly spaced gashes at the edge. Are those claw marks? Bliss puffs out their cheeks. I need a break from this ship. They look at you. Help me tidy this up. You spend the rest of the journey packing the crate away and disposing of the spoiled supplies. But as you do, you can't help but wonder what actually happened here. When you're finished, you take one last look around the storage bay. As you gaze around the now cleared space, you've had the same feeling of being observed by unseen eyes as you felt in the tunnels of Holmes Rock. Ooh, we picked up a stowaway of some kind. Interesting. You have to see this, Sleeper. Junie comes to find you in the rig, her face flushed with excitement. At first I didn't believe it. Junie can't help herself while she leads you through the ship. There are mentions occasionally, but I've always understood them to be references to something smaller. A system or unit, not an entire facility, even a set of facilities. Why are we glitched? I didn't have a glitch. Oh, that's annoying. You find yourself in one of the more sparse bays of the rig. Actually, we're full glitch. Are we? You find yourself in one of the more sparse bays of the rig, a corner with a sloped ceiling used for storage. So I checked other records, trying to find correlations, and, well, there they were. You see Junie approaching what looked like a clump of scrap components when you entered. Now looking closer, you see it's actually a section of the core you extracted from the Solheim derelict, the one Junie was so eager to acquire. She sees you looking curiously at what remains of the core. I've had to deconstruct it over time, pulling away the layers of security and corroded outer systems, but all the data has been scraped and stored. I used data from the derelict near Hellion Gate 2. That was the key to cracking the Sci-Fi. She looks very pleased with herself. It's really quite something to confirm a rumour like this. I surprised myself. She turns to you, a slightly manic look in her eyes. What did you find? They refer to them as bunkers. Junie shifts to her deck, floating on the end of a thick connecting cable. They were a form of self-surveillance for Solheim, a way of monitoring their own systems and employees securely. They were hidden, mostly automated, linked into the network by arrays, intended for vast amounts of data capture to be poured over by a small staff. Junie taps a few keys on her deck. Most are understood to have been purged in the collapse, shut down, depressurized, even sent on collision trajectories with other bodies. She pauses, though I suspect that last one is a little too far-fetched. I've heard people deny they even existed, that we are misreading the data, that the evidence doesn't hold. Junie turns the deck screen to face you, but I've found one. You see a map, a set of coordinates on the sunward side of Holmes Rock, the edge of the belt. Why are these bunkers so important? We're talking about masses of records from the collapse, the kind lost to bit rot everywhere else in the belt. The bunkers are what they sound like, closed facilities intended to preserve data. Any one of these bunkers is a gold mine. Junie pauses, at least from a data archaeologist's perspective. She sees your reaction. And, Junie adds, hoping to convince you, in truth we don't know what else is in there. There could be Solheim tech, blueprints, data never before seen in the belt. Oh, we should take a look. I'll give Seraphine the details, she smiles. We could be making history here. And thank you, Sleeper.
Junie bows her head a little. I never would have found this without the core you gave me. I understand that was a sacrifice on your part. Now is the time to claim the rewards.
You leave Junie in the storage bay, working obsessively through the data. It's hard to know, through all the excitement, what the real value of one of these bunker facilities might be, but if they're as well hidden as Junie said, there must be a reason. When there's time, you hope to find out what that reason is. Okay. As he brings the ship into Wellspring's docking ring, you notice a rare tension in Seraphin's piloting. He jerks the stick a little too hard while the docking bridge extends, and a proximity alarm goes off. He curses under his breath. Relax, it'll be okay. I've docked their ship 100 times, Sleeper. He keeps his eyes on the monitors. I am relaxed. That's not what I mean. Seraphin doesn't respond, but you see him grip the rig's controls a little tighter. As the ship stops, the docking bridge connected, you lean forward and look out of the cockpit windows, trying to get a good view of the icy surface of Wellspring below. The harsh, gleaming ice gives way to the steep sides of the cut, the asteroid's one city. It glows and steams with warmth, and peering down into it, you cannot see the bottom. Beyond, along the horizon, you see the terraces of the pit head, where the current extraction effort must be taking place. Seraphin runs the shutdown sequence and unclips from his seat. He turns back to you, a flinty look in his eye. I'm going down, head down into the cut. I've got a few leads to follow up on. You get the sense he isn't asking for permission. Let me help. You can check out the city if you want, but I'm not following along, Sleeper. This is my trail to follow. Before you can respond, he pushes past and glides out of the cockpit. You turn and watch as he pushes past Bliss in the doorway. Oh, miss something? Bliss shoots you a look. He seems even more irritable than usual. That's his business. Fair enough, Bliss sighs. Looks like a stop over at Wellspring for a bit then. They zip at their jacket. I'll be in the markets. At least Lane's unlikely to come out here to pick a fight with the Lotic Syndicate. Bliss shrugs. They turn and head towards the airlock, whistling softly as they do. Yu Jin comes out of a side door as Bliss passes. He stretches and squints at you. Permission to find a bar down there? He grins. Just joking. I know I don't need to ask. He winks and follows Bliss. I'll wait with the ship. Junie's voice echoes through the thin interior wall of the corridor. I've got archiving to catch up on. She pauses. There's nothing older than 1,000 cycles on that snowball anyway. Wellspring, the base of the Lotic Syndicate. As you look out across its icy surface, you remember Malik, the captain whose ship you saved, and for whom you surveyed the ice asteroid. You also remember how he promised to repay you for your actions should you ever cross paths again. Well, perhaps Wellspring's a good place for you to make that happen. After all, if Seraphin's sister is here, surely the Lotic Syndicate would be the best place to find her. Okay. I'm wondering why we got that glitch. That's a little bit annoying. Let's have a look at the map. Our pilot's not available, so we can't leave the thing. I just wanted to see what the new contract had been added. But let's have a quick look around this asteroid then. We've got the Wellspring pit head. That's as far as that goes. And we've got Wellspring Cut, which is the main town, and that's the bottom of the settlement. All right, well, I think we'll leave it there for today. When we come back, we'll explore Wellspring a little more and find out what there is to do here. But thanks very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, if you could hit that like button, that's always fantastic, as is leaving me a comment, letting me know what you think about the game so far. And if you're watching this and not yet subscribed, if you could do that as well, that'd be great. So thanks very much, and I hope to see you next time. Bye for now.